Hi everybody, it's Veronica here on my channel, The Vintage Boot Girl. Welcome back. Another time for another video. I've definitely been more of a consumer of content lately than a content creator, and so that's something that I really want to be more conscientious of moving forward, meaning I want to create more videos. So we're gonna go ahead and push forward even though someone is mowing the lawn. I'm sure it's not bothering you guys, because anytime I'm watching YouTube videos and people point that stuff out or complain about it, it's really not bothering me that bad. Plus, we also have some lovely birds chirping out here, deciding to film my very first video outside today. It's kind of an overcast day. It's like slightly sprinkling outside, which is kind of nice. It's kind of some low rumbling of thunder, so we might get some thunder in our video today, which I'm okay with. I decided the name of this video, or the point of this video, is going to be for anyone struggling with fear of speaking up, for anyone struggling with anxiety around using their voice, speaking their truth. Yeah, I want to talk about that because I'm kind of going through that right now. I'm facing and confronting that fear actively. It's had active and pretty intense consequences in my life currently, and yet I actually am happier than I've been for a long time, even though there's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty about where I'm going to live and what I'm going to do. I recently started speaking up and voicing what's been going on in my life as far as getting out of a toxic relationship that I've been in on and off for 6 years. There's been domestic violence in the relationship, and I finally took to a public platform to share some of my experience, not just here, but on my Facebook as well, which my name on Facebook is Andromeda Veronica, if anyone is interested in following my story there. I do have it marked as a private account, as far as like only my Facebook friends see what I post, but I probably will be changing that again soon. It was public for a time. I've dealt with like stalkers and bullies, people who definitely target and like look for anything public that I post, so they probably already found these videos. It's probably some of who's been watching my videos, so hello to the obsessive stalker fans. Yes, I'm calling you a fan, because even if you are a hater, if you're watching me that closely, you're really a fan. You might just not realize it yet. But, and you know what? I think some of my hardcore haters and stuff are taking glee probably in the fact that I've been going through like negative things in my life. Like, I've been going through violence, and a partner that I'm moving away from, who has not been treating me well, and especially since speaking up. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. What happens if you decide to speak up and there's negative repercussions for if you're going through abuse or any kind of negative situation in your life, some kind of situation at your job? You might get punished for speaking up. Yeah, you will. In every narcissistic, toxic system, whether work or family system, that I've been a part of, when you choose to speak up and use your voice is when you begin to be targeted the most. That is when you get gang stalked and bullied by people. That is when, people will do violence against you. This is from blocking, by the way. And, yeah, that's when repercussions will happen. But it's also when you will start to feel the most empowered in your soul and your spirit as a person. It's when you'll get your inner light back, and you'll start to glow from within. And that's really what triggers a lot of these people, because a lot of this stuff, it's spiritual war. It's just spiritual warfare. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, like, I'm not a super Christian, like influencer or anything, but I am a very spiritual person, and I do think the Bible has a lot of spiritual insight and wisdom and knowledge to share with us. I think there's a lot of things left out of the Bible. I think there have been a lot of people who've edited the Bible to fit certain agendas. So I fall more under like a Gnostic tradition. I believe in a lot more of the female deity archetypes that have been erased from culture and history, and especially Christianity. I am a feminine embodiment, a mentor, I guess is the word, because I don't like the word coach, and no one is really paying me for the stuff that I offer. I mean, like, it's still in its infancy in a lot of ways. Like, I've had my Facebook page for a long time, but I've only started doing, like, more public stuff with it as far as, like, being a public figure in the last 6 years or so. And, you know, in that time, I haven't gained that much traction as far as, like, follower count or anything like that. But I do have an audience, and I had enough of an audience that I triggered some hate from people both in my life and just people I don't even know in real life, like, who just know me from online or know my writing from online or whatever. And yeah, I guess this is the first time I'm opening up about the fact that I do write and have a platform that I share things on. So if you are interested in becoming Facebook friends or even just following me, my name on Facebook is Andromeda Veronica, and I will change my settings to public again soon. There's quite a bit of, like, things I have to get through, I think, before I'm comfortable doing that. One of the reasons I've been comfortable enough to start this YouTube channel and start sharing freely on here is because I know that not a lot of people know I have a YouTube channel, or, you know, like, I haven't been being watched as heavily on here by, like, some of those communities I talked about, like my own family targeting me for speaking out about the narcissistic family system and the abuse I experienced in my childhood is definitely part of that. And I have a big family. I have a lot of cousins, you know, even if they weren't part of my immediate experience growing up. That's a lot of, like, flying monkey kind of people for aunts and, you know, other family members who may or may not be involved in some of the things I've gone through. And I don't know who everybody is. I'm starting to piece it together and figure it out and use my discernment to kind of feel what people's intentions are when they invite me somewhere or when they reach out. And I always feel, my intuition always tells me when something is off. And if it doesn't tell me, I find out pretty quickly. Like, I go to the event and I feel that something's very wrong pretty quickly. You can't deceive me by gaslighting me and stuff. I'm pretty much impossible to manipulate that way at this point, because I've been through it from such an early age, and I've been through it so much, you know, starting with my family of origin. So I recognize these things right away, immediately, and they don't stick. And even if they had a chance or an opportunity to stick, like this on and off again abusive relationship I've been dealing with and struggling with for the last 6 years, I think there were moments when the like stuff like gaslighting and convincing me I'm the problem and stuff and all this scapegoating, it was kind of sticking because I hadn't fully healed or sorted through my childhood wounds around those things. Obviously, I was aware and very, like, cognizant of the trauma I had been through, but I hadn't fully, like, held my inner child and healed from the experience, and, like, I wasn't using as much, like, positive affirmations back then. I've really gotten through a lot of this stuff in recent years by using those positive affirmations, and it's hard when you start because you don't necessarily believe them, but that's where YouTube comes in. There's so many amazing women in the spiritual community, whether it be tarot readers or just, like, intuitive channelers or whatever, but there's so many people using amazing positive affirmations that, you know, even just listening to them speak on YouTube has helped me, like, as far as just feeling like I have a friend to hype me up when I'm getting ready for work every day. You know, just the positive affirmations of a lot of those amazing, mainly women, I'll just say it, they're mainly women that I've found a lot of empowerment from, just, like, giving me permission to embody confidence in the way that they've been able to do that themselves, and then to share their message and to share the positive affirmations that they use and to speak to their audience as they are a friend. they're really doing great things, and yeah, I admire them a lot, and like that's why I'm here doing my thing now. I'm finally embracing that my life is changing and that things fell apart in my life for a reason. I was not happy just being a waitress and just being a stagehand and just like working for a paycheck all the time. I felt that I had a higher purpose and a higher calling that I was neglecting, and I'd kind of started doing stuff with that purpose on Facebook for a while, but I mean, like, anyone today will tell you Facebook is like for older people and this and this and that, so it's kind of a platform that's becoming less and less relevant. There's also like huge privacy issues on there, just like there are on here, but yeah, I think I've kind of discovered that there are some problems with like trying to be a content creator and just being solely on one platform, and I think like videos really are the way to go because it's a better way for people to actually get to know you. Like, it's a better way for your audience to get to know you, because like this is part of it. Like, speaking is just part of everything, and with AI writing scripts for people now and writing and even like having fake people you know, speaking like fake AI humans, like humans on videos and stuff now. Like, because I consume so much tarot content, I started noticing AI seeping into the tarot community where, you know, it started as just like typed up messages on a screen and, you know, maybe a fun background or whatever, and I think that's innocent enough. I watch some of them because they're whatever, this is innocent, but then it progressively gets worse and it has like an AI generated person, like, you know, like that's just deception, you know, as far as it's just not necessary. Like, I think AI is most useful when there's no confusion about whether what you're consuming is AI or not, or like AI generated or not. We're really going to be living in an age where it's harder and harder to tell what's authentic and what's computer AI generated, you know, and we're going to have to be able to discern and use our own judgment to figure those things out. And I think one of the things I want to like be an example of and be teaching people is to go outside and spend time like in the woods with nature and connect with Mother Gaia, you know, with Mother Earth, and like stand on the earth in your bare feet and like observe the animals, observe nature, observe the trees and the wind, and like really get grounded and connect to the earth so that you really are able to discern what's real. Because I think it's easy with like some of the technology that's coming out to not know, and we've been in this like information battle for a long time with the internet. Like, you know, basically the rise of Trump and everything else, there was a lot going on to get him elected, including misinformation campaigns. You know, I fell prey to some of the QAnon stuff for a period of time because it was very, very intelligent the way that psychological operation was initiated, and that's how a lot of psychological operations are. They're not going to be super obvious right away that that's what it is, that it's just a program to get people to think a certain way. That's why discernment and critical thinking skills are super, super important at this time. There is a war going on for your attention and for your beliefs, like how you view and shape the world. There are people with vested interests and lots of money that pay lots of money every day because they want to decide what your opinion is going to be. And so we all need to collectively agree that we're going to make it really hard for them to do that. You know, we're all going to collectively be more tuned in than ever to our own internal guidance systems, to our own spirit, to God, to the universe, to Mother Nature, and we're going to be as tapped in as possible to come up against some of these technological advancements and some of these new and intelligent ways of psychological warfare that are being developed now as we speak, being developed to harm God's chosen people being developed to harm, the innocent being developed to harvest our energy. That's really what the systems of control are about. That's what being in an abusive and toxic family system is about. There's power structures at the top that want families to be dysregulated and people to be disempowered in this way. They profit off of it, they benefit off of it, and they're able to exploit us for our labor and our resources, and even just our life force, our vital life force energy, based off of these illusions and these lies. So it really is a revolutionary and scary thing when you choose to speak up. It really does create new challenges and obstacles, but as long as you are staying in alignment and keeping the faith, praying consistently, asking your angels and your spirit guides and God for assistance and for help, you'll be okay. And that's kind of the thing to get through. That's the thing that's been getting me through all of the challenges that have come up when I have, recently spoken up and been faced with a lot of backlash. I've literally been physically harmed for speaking up in recent weeks and months. I've been physically battered and abused and prevented from going to work, and my money's taken a hit, in the last year or so, because it wasn't just an abusive relationship with a partner. I was also speaking up about things I went through at a restaurant that I worked at here in the community that I live in. There was sexual assault, even if it was very minimal. That's how sexual assault starts. It just starts with unwanted physical touch, and it builds its way up. It progressively gets worse. And the way I was stopping that was by using my voice and speaking up, but then other forms of violence and aggression took place instead. I was bullied, I was excluded, I was left out of group chats, and all of this was meant to harm me, but I knew why it was happening, so it wasn't harming me as much as they intended for it to. What was harming me was having to stay in that environment because it was a paycheck. And I stopped doing those things. I stopped being in places where I didn't feel valued and appreciated, and it has affected me negatively financially. It has negatively impacted that area of my life. So I have to get creative and think on my toes, about how I'm going to support myself, because I'm also being forced to move from the place that I live now, and I don't know where I'm going, and I can't really afford to move. So yeah, and all of this is because I said that I wasn't going to move in with my toxically abusive ex-partner, because I knew I would be isolated there, because we chose a place foolishly. And this goes to show that there's definitely something that goes into when you're in an abusive situation like that. You're not always making choices from the clearest headspace. I should have at least made sure we picked a place that I could still walk to, the resources that I need, as far as going to the doctor and getting groceries, and even just being able to go to the coffee shop and meet up with a friend or something. No, we chose a place outside of town. So as our relationship continued to have abusive cycles and patterns in it, I became more and more anxious about moving in this isolated place with this person. And so I decided not to, and it's been punishment ever since. So these are things to keep in mind when you do choose to speak up. It will make your life harder in a lot of ways. You have to be ready for the challenges, but this is also my advice to not get discouraged, and do not let your vibration sink too low. Do not let fear consume you. Do not let anxiety overwhelm you. And you may be vulnerable at that time. Don't let people trigger you to lash out. Don't let people upset you and anger you, because ultimately, if they really are an enemy sent to you by the devil, if you believe in that, or or they really are just sent to stop your progress or halt your growth in some way, then they want to see you in that space where you're triggered and you're fixated on them and you're bothered by the things they're doing to you. So it's really important to just remain focused on yourself, your path, your purpose, and your plans, and be more quiet about what your plans actually are and how you're going to be moving. Because if someone really doesn't have your best interest in mind, they're going to use every tactic they can to break your spirit, to ruin your plans, to trap you in these cycles of abuse and illusion. And yeah, I've been going through that on like every level in my life, and I know it must mean that I'm a powerful soul, that this many things have been sent to stand in my way. That's really all it is at this point, is a confirmation that I have a great purpose here on earth, and that some force is threatened by my voice, because especially when I started making these YouTube videos, and especially when I started posting online more frequently, because I took a long hiatus because some of those spiritual attacks got me last year. There was a phony lover sent in to disable me, and those attacks hit. They hit a place in me. They harmed me. They did. They landed on a place, and they did throw me off balance. So it's really important to make healthy decisions at this time. I think we're going through a really, like intense birthing process right now collectively, like where those of us who see through the matrix illusions and understand what's really going on this planet right now are really, 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 really being targeted. We're the ones that refused to get vaccinated when COVID took place because we knew we didn't have all the information, and we knew that something was off about the way we were being presented with information, and just all of the political theater and fear-mongering that was involved, and including holding people's paychecks over their head, saying you won't be able to work, you won't be able to get this money if you don't do this thing. So we were the people that saw all of this as highly concerning and didn't conform, stayed true to our spirit, stuck to our intuition. And you know what? Like, I'll admit I wasn't able to convince my partner not to get vaccinated. I do believe that's some of why we've gone through these tremendous fights and just horrible experiences together. I do think the vaccine had something to do with it. I do think it changed him in some way, or changed his DNA, or at least stopped him from being able to elevate past the point that we were already at that place. And yeah, things really started to change and shift since then. But I'm very grateful that I was still able to maintain my bodily autonomy during that time. I wish I could have helped him or convinced him, but it really was so much psychological warfare going on for everyone at that time. So everyone kind of had to just make their own choices. And it feels unfair because not everybody made their own choice. Some people really caved into fear and illusions, and they chose to go against anything their intuition might have been telling them. And yeah, money will do that, like it's what prevented me from speaking up sooner in the abusive situation I was in both the relationship and the job I mentioned. And that's not the only job stuff I've dealt with, but I don't feel comfortable getting into just all of the stuff I've faced in job environments just yet. The restaurant example is easy because it's obvious when you're on the clock, and something happens that's wrong and not meant to happen, Anyway, I think it's getting loud with the lawnmower and everything, so I think this is where we're going to end things. But yeah, tune in for another video. I'm going to try to post 2 a week moving forward. Thank you to my lovely audience and everyone who's been showing up to watch. Let me know in the comments if there's any particular topic you want to hear more about or touch more on. And yeah, I hope to see you all again next week.